Hello and good evening, everyone. I welcome you to An Academy's session masterclass today with Krishan. Um, I'm very excited to have you all here and thank you for taking out the time to do this with us. And I hope you have fun and also learn something new today. Before we dive right into the conversation with Amber, I would like to talk a little bit about Anne and what is it that we do here. For those of you who know about Anne, of course you do, and for those of you who do not, I would like to introduce Anne. So And Academy is the brainchild of Dr. Jitin Chadda, who's also the co-founder, who's also the founder and CEO of Indian Institute of Art and Design, IIAD as we call it. IIAD is a brick and mortar design school based in New Delhi, Okhla. So what is the difference between IIAD and? In IIAD, you'll find your regular design courses, which are undergrad courses, so your BDES, etc., in communication design, interior, fashion, and so on and so forth. And actually offers you professional short courses in the domains of graphic, interior, and UI UX design. And IID has been around for over a decade now. And actually comes from that pedigree of IIAD, from having imparted education for over a decade. And we've sort of perfected that system and then brought it online. We mostly have part-time courses. We have one full-time course in graphic design, but these are mostly part-time, short-term, rigorous courses for you to launch or upscale or pivot your career. Um, as I've already spoken about, the pedigree that is, which is what we come from, that is IIAD. All of our curriculum, be it graphic, interior, or UI, UX, is designed by people that are practitioners and also academicians, and are also delivered by these people. So you get very up-to-date, relevant, industry relevant knowledge in all of these courses. These courses also happen in a live interactive manner. So everything that you would find in a design school, your crits, your jury, your group discussions, everything, group projects, everything that you find in a design school offline, we offer that experience to you in an online fashion. So we rely heavily on tech and human support to achieve this. Today, this session is going to be in a webinar mode where Amber will speak, and then you will sort of be on the other end of absorbing what he's sort of talking about. But that is not the mode for our classes. You're required to interact and contribute in all of your sessions. We also focus more on learning design fundamentals and principles. So you do get to learn your design software, so which is, say, your AutoCADs and Adobe, Photoshop and Illustrator and Figma and After Effects, whatever might be relevant for your relevant domain. You do get to learn those, but what is it that you do with those software? How do you employ these software to your benefit? What do you design on those software? How to think like a designer? How to break down a design brief and then sort of build something that solves a problem for a business is what you learn here at And. Um, and throughout this curriculum, there's multiple projects that you work on. Maybe there's a one-on-one project, maybe there's a project with your peers. So you get feedback from your mentors, feedback from your peers, feedback from other industry professionals that come for reviews and portfolio reviews, etc. So you build a very robust system. You also learn something in the curriculum and then you apply it in the project. So you learn by doing. It's a regular cycle that you do. And then all of these projects sort of culminate into a market ready portfolio. So when you hit the ground running, you can just like apply to all of your jobs that you want. And with this portfolio, we have a lot of faith in the quality of design education that we provide. So we also offer job guarantee on some of our courses. If you're wanting to join any of our courses, you can find the number on our website. You can call us, you can write to us. All of the information is available on the website. We've also been around for over 3 years now. We have a community of 1,200 plus learners, a 50 plus mentor body, 200 plus industry connects, and we're rated 4.6 on Google. So if you want to check us out, you can. Moving to today's session, We have with us Amber, who is the founder and CEO of Futurris, a company shaping the future edge of digital transformation at the intersection of product, experience, AI, and customer value. With a proven track record of building award-winning creative and delivery organizations, he specializes in product transformation, intelligent CX, omni-channel ecosystems, and metrics-led execution. Previously, Amber co-founded Them Consulting, a BFSI-focused design firm, and at PayU, he established a global digital product experience center to scale agile delivery worldwide. His career began at Human Factor International, HFI, where he led technical and training teams. An active educator, Amber has delivered 250 plus programs on innovation, product strategy, and digital transformation across 4 continents and teaches at leading institutions including Parsons School of Design, CEPT, Masters Union, and Academy. A sought after speaker at NASCOM, IIM Ahmedabad, IAMAI, and more. He continues to shape the global discourse on design and digital transformation. With that, I will hand it over to Amber. Amber, please take over.
Thanks, Shubhangi. Thank you for setting the context. Now, I'm hoping that everyone who's on this session is familiar with the title of today's topic. If you're not, today we're going to talk about that how the context of building digital experiences and digital products is changing significantly. And I will pull up a slide to build some context on that. I don't know how many of you have actually seen this movie. The movie's title is called Her. And this gentleman was a very famous actor, Joaquin Phoenix. And in this movie, he at one point encounters an artificial intelligence in the form of an operating system upgrade to his computer. And then through that, he develops a relationship with the artificial intelligence and, so on and so forth. The movie goes. If you haven't seen this, you should definitely watch it because not only it's very interesting and very enthralling in the way it'll represents how humanity may get impacted, but at the same time, it is also based on a book written by a gentleman called Ray Kurzweil. And the book was called Spiritual Machine, which I happened to have read before I watched this movie. So it's an extract from some of the predictions by Ray Kurzweil in terms of what is going to happen. So it's interesting that, we are at this point that things are changing a lot. And one of the ways we realize that things are changing is because of the fact that ChatGPT came and there was a lot of noise in the marketing, a lot of noise in the social that AI is here and everything is going to shake up, whether it was done by business leaders or whether it was done by leaders in science or political leaders that AI is here and it's here to be able to shake up the way things are going to happen in the future. What's interesting to know is that the change was happening anyway. AI or not, there was a significant change which was not visible to a lot of people who were building products, but there was undercurrents of change which was happening there. And then this change was not just in the form of emerging technology, whether AI or IoT or your metaverse technologies, it was also in the shape of how the customer behavior itself was changing. Right? So we have limited participants in this group, raise your hands or share comments if you think that customer behavior itself is changing with the way they want to interact with the products.
Ken is raising their hand. Only one person I can see at the moment. Amitabha, Sanket, Venkat Prasad. 4 people are raising their hand.
Would they be able to type in comments as well, Shubhangi, or not?
Yeah, they can. Guys, you can use the chat box to type in your comments.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear from you guys of how do you think is changing? Just a simple example. What do you think is changing?
Amitabha is saying reality of what is real and what is not. I think they mean perception of what is real and what is not is changing.
Interesting. Interesting. We are very squarely in the era of disinformation. Very, very difficult.
Venkat Prasad is saying people are not present in the physical anymore.
Hmm. Anyone else? Okay, let's go with this. Huh? So coming back to what I was sharing with you guys. Right. So AI has come into the picture and only uncovered the fact that there is change which is happening. But that's not the only change which is happening, and we are yet to see how in reality this manifests and what value it actually brings to humanity. We are yet to see. In fact, no, I'm not too sure if you guys read the recent MIT report, which talks about the fact that 95% of the use cases which actually been implemented in AI actually failed. They've not delivered ROI or revenue uptakes, which they were believed to being able to do. So they have not done that. So this technology is still on the proving ground. People have to still do that. But what's fundamentally changed is the way people expect to be serviced. And I wanted to show you this timeline. So there was a point of time in the history where when you would interact with services, the way you had to get what you want from the service required a lot of effort from you. For example, if you have to pay your bill, you have to go and stand in a line to pay a bill. I'm not too sure anybody in the audience has ever done that you actually had to stand in line to be able to pay electricity bill or pay some other bill. Or you have to stand in line to get groceries. You have to do all that. Or for the bank, you have to go to a demand draft. You have to stand in the bank branch and spend half a day to be able to get a bank branch. Because at that time, just to be able to get a service itself was value, which means there was sufficient pull and the customers had the motivation to want to do that. It was a manual era, the manual era where a lot of work the customers had to do. Then, in order to serve the customers better, there was decentralization. Instead of having fewer branches and fewer areas where customers could get to, people started opening centers everywhere. Amul is an example. Banks are an example that you are able to interact with the service in a decentralized fashion. You have branches and smaller units and offices. Even telcos are a great example. At one point of time, you can get the SIM card from somebody, the grocery shop. You could go and get a SIM card from there, or sometimes you could get your phone recharged from the grocery shop. So that was decentralization which was built in by companies. As service experience evolved, the call center era came, that to provide superior experience, we are going to put cheap manpower to the problem. And that was the era where a lot of call centers in India and China were open because of fundamental cost arbitrage, which means that it's far cheaper to be able to get labor from here than any other country. So thus, most of the companies in other countries were opening their call centers or were signing up for one in these countries. But now the cost arbitrage also reduces over time as money flows in, salaries increase, cost arbitrage decreases. So the automation era came. And automation era says, you know what? Instead of throwing so much of cheap labor, which is no longer cheap, why don't we try helping people to get service through SMS, through IVR, reduce human servicing as much as possible. I don't know if you have heard of technology called USSD. So this is another technology which is used by telcos and banks, and you can get servicing through that as well. Then came the DIY era, where there was a lot of focus on UIfication, that, let's create UIs which are user friendly and people can understand and comprehend things themselves, and let them do things themselves. So the entire service experience, every single touch point, there was a lot of effort in terms of focusing on UIfication, that convert everything into UI, make an app, make a website, make some form, make some flow, everything people can do by themselves to reduce the costs around it. And then we came to an era where people said, you know what, besides UIfication, can we get a conversational ability, give them chat abilities to be able to get things serviced, which started off with basic chatbots which could have conversation, and now you have more advanced abilities, because with the AI technology you have NLP, which is natural language programming, which can be pulled into the chatbots for to have more fluid conversations. So all this evolution has actually happened, and this change has always been there. It's just that it's not so much in the face. But now, because there's a company called OpenAI and they made a POC called ChatGPT, and people saw that and they were amazed. Oh wow, AI is finally here. But what's interesting is AI is not just one technology. AI actually is a group of technologies, which is research done by many labs and many different fields across the world, and that's produced different technologies which can be used. And what's happened in that context is that on the left hand side, there has become a faster technology evolution, which means you have AI bots, you have ability of delivering hyper personalization, you have something called omni-commerce, which is the expectation by customers. There's a lot of conversion of businesses on the same touch point. For example, Instagram, if you guys use that, it almost looks like the entire world of businesses are converging to try and get your attention on that single touch point, that please give us a few seconds of your time and buy something from us. What's happening on the parallel is there is a human behavior change, which means there's website and app fatigue. Customers are not interacting with websites and apps as much as they used to. There was a point of time when you were making something called mega menus. Are you guys familiar with mega menus? You can say yes in the chat, so I can see there.
Ranbir is saying no. Venkat is saying no. I don't think people are aware about this.
So interestingly, when you had to build websites, on the top, you've seen those tabs, you press those. Yeah. Now, if you have to cram more and more features and more functionality, then if you click on the tabs and there are too many levels and levels after that, it becomes pretty hard for users to use that. But businesses wanted to put that. Businesses wanted to put as much functionality as much content possible. So they came up with fat mega menus, which means that the tabs over there, they can open up and you see a lot of levels up front on the website itself. So those are called mega menus. Now, this is an interesting story because the way businesses thought about building digital products and digital experiences at that point was that it is a collection of features and collection of information that you are providing to the users, which means you start the process with talking to your management, what all things should be built, then you put them into a roadmap, and then you organize them into these menus, and then for each of those menu items you make a page, or you make the UI for that page, and you stitch all those pages together and you have a digital experience. Do people interact with now websites and apps in this way? Any thoughts, guys? Is that how you interact? You go to the menu and you look down every single item and say, Acha, this is what I want, and then you go inside there. Is that the way you do things? Anyone? How do you guys do it? How do you guys browse websites, or how do you interact with apps these days? You can leave one line answers for what you think.
Quick selection is required, is what Venkat is saying.
Anyone else? Amitabha, Charita. Anyway, think about it.
UI needs to be user friendly, is what Amitabh is saying. Vaibhav is saying searching for visual clues for what's needed.
So, guys, visual cues, user friendly, are basic hygiene. I used to teach this 15 years back. These are basic hygiene, these are basic economics. World has moved ahead. The way people are interacting with your products are through micro moments and micro touch points. The traditional way of building products is not working anymore in that context. And in the traditional way, they used to use something called information architecture as a way of building. So you get the requirements, then you make a roadmap, then you make information architecture, and you club all the menu items or categories of information and things together, and then you start building them. Have you guys heard of information architecture?
Amitabh is saying no. Kajal is saying yes. Venkat Prasad is saying no.
So information architecture is a technique which is taught as part of user experience design process. But these are all now legacy techniques because these were all built on how traditionally softwares were built, which is what I told you. I just tried out that you go to your stakeholders, you get a list of things, features they want, then you organize those features by information architecture, and then you make pages for all those features and you stitch it together and then you test it. That is how it was done. But since customers are not interacting with your products that way, And then you have technology such as AI also enabling people to interact differently. Does that way of building products still hold true? That's the fundamental question. So today, if the only thought that I leave you with, it should be that the typical UX process, is that still valid? And that's something you should think about. So coming back to this is what customers are doing now. So customers are coming and they are interacting with services in micro moments. I want to pay a bill. They come, they are not going through go to a menu. They want to find pay a bill ability, and then they quickly go and leave. And they want that entire ability to be fulfilled right there. They want something called anticipatory commerce or anticipatory abilities, which means the moment I land over there, maybe via cookie or something, you should show me what my bill is. Don't make me remember. I don't have to go to my SMS and find what the amount is. And then I just quickly authenticate over there and payment should happen and it's done. It's got there. Or something else, e-commerce. I want to buy something. Why do I have to come every single time to an e-commerce website and then explain that, hey, I am female or I'm male or potentially I'm this size or what's most likely to fit or what kind of things do I like? I have to there is no memory kept about me with any of these things. And this is what customers are expecting. The customers are expecting anticipatory behavior. They're expecting omni-channel servicing, which means they should be able to interact with your service from across different surfaces, whether through mobile phones or anything else or laptops, etc. They're expecting a lot of personalization and servicing. Remember me, interact with me as if you know me. So example for you would be that if you go to a clothes shop and you have been going there regularly, quite likely the person who's been serving you remembers you. Quite likely they remember what you typically like. They would also remember what your size is and potentially how much money you like to spend each time. Which means the moment you get inside the shop, they greet you with your name, they greet you with understanding that this is potentially what you would like. They even probably understands what you have purchased before. So they can tell you what else you can pick up from this shop. All of this is very human way of servicing, and this is what's happening, that customers are expecting a more and more humanized way of actually interacting with services. And if you compare it with typical e-commerce, it is very robotic. It's you land there and you look at a catalog, and from the catalog then you show product details page, look at the SKU, and then you have to specify what size do you want. That's not how people are treated when you go to a store. So people are expecting this, and the people are expecting that you are bringing data, design, content, and commerce together, that it meshes nicely and delivers that experience that you want. So our ability of being able to now work in this profession is far more than just follow the UX process. It's far more than just fundamental ergonomics. Right? Everyone understands ergonomics. So ergonomics is the science of designing for human comfort. For example, how tall should the back of a chair be such that you have lumbar support. All of that is coming out of ergonomics. So, but that's very fundamental. So ergonomics and all that is basic hygiene. Now you have to think about how do you build strategies to get people to perform actions in these micro moments and touch points. And this is where the brands are pivoted around, and they have to do that, which is where this typical process then struggles. Do design thinking what all you have to build, and then categorize all the features into menu. Then figure out how to make it easy, and then figure out how to make it beautiful. If you largely look at the design process, this is what is done. Yeah, interesting. So now you got to look at things from a point of view of product experience, what all things fall inside that. The way you build for product experience is different. Then there is AI experience. The way you build for AI experience is different, and I'll come back to these examples. And then there's custom experience. The way you build for custom experience is different. There is no typical just one process, which is your process, the user experience, Alan Cooper process, which you can apply to any of this and it works. It is very, very contextual to the type of domain that you are in and what are you building. Right? So before I go forward on that, do you understand the difference between product experience, custom experience, and AI experience? So I'm waiting for comments on the chat to understand. So do you understand the difference, or should I quickly explain what that means? So no comments for me means everyone understands. Then I will not make the effort to explain.
Guys, do you want to put in your comments? Yeah, no comments, just oh, Chinmay is saying, please explain. Venkata is also saying, could you quickly explain? Please explain. Amitabha is also saying. So I don't think people understand that.
So product experience is focused towards building these things. SaaS, software as a service, or platforms, mobile and web apps, portals, like banking portals when you log in and you do things over there, back office tools. Product experience are always built around people performing things where they have to perform actions. And since the products are constructed around people performing actions, they are architected differently than you would do, for example, a content website or a content disseminating service. Some of the examples that you see on the page. So these kind of banking apps or a phone pay, any of these are products, digital products per se. So when you approach building product experiences, there has to be a different philosophy of how you approach that. We'll come to this later. Customer experience talks about how you design the entire flow of the user from the starting point when they interacted with your service and the next and next and next and next. And quite likely in the flow of wanting to interact with your service overarchingly, they would interact with many, many, many small things. They will interact with your website. They would interact with your SMS. They will interact with your WhatsApp. They will interact with many, many things that way. So automatically, those things can lead to a flow of moving across these different kinds of channels and abilities. So this creating this entire flow and modeling how all these different channels are going to serve the user comes under customer experience. AI experience, interestingly, for some of the companies, was mostly about being able to build in chat abilities. So build in chat or build in voice that you can have a conversation with that. But AI is a lot more than that. Like I said, it's a group of technologies. There are many, many technologies which can be used. So the way you approach building AI is with AI is that you re-look at, can you even reinvent digital selling? Can you completely do this in a very, very different way? So example in this is that on the screen that this person is looking for a specific product or a sweater or a jacket by talking to the AI, but they can also upload a video or of an image of themselves, and then it can start showing how that product is going to look on them. And then when you have actually bought a bunch of these different things, then it will show you how all those things will look on you at the end of it, so that you get better satisfaction that yes, I picked up the right things and this will look good on me at the end of it. So all that is possible through AI experience. And each of those processes, if you are building for product or if you're building for CX, you require different processes for that in today's world. And I'm just giving you a glimpse. I'm not going to spend time going through the processes, but I'm just giving you a glimpse that different processes are required based on what you are building. One thing does not fit all. Now, taking you guys back into the context of AI, I want to show you guys that in AI technologies, there are many, many approaches. These are examples of some. And in these approaches, there are many actual AI technologies which come out of that. So these are examples: CNNs, RNNs, transformers, GANs. So your chat GPT is actually a combination of transformer model and GANs. So these are only few that I wanted to put in this slide, but there are many, many more which are out there. And you have to see which actually applies appropriately in the right use case. And examples of use cases and what you can do with that. So there are computer vision areas of AI, chatbots, personalization, voice recognition, dynamic UI, search, etc. as well. And here are specific areas in the current service cycle where these things can actually be mapped. But what's interesting is that in our field, when people look at how these changing technologies and customer behaviors need to be looked at, there's a lot more focused on the tools that what tools can be used as part of designing this. You now at the point when I made this slide, and this is a couple of months back, I made this slide. These were the tools. Now automatically the number of tools which are now available for you to use as part of design, which are AI powered, have already been multiplied by 100, if not more. There are a huge amount of tools out there. But what's important to remember that tools and abilities have always changed as part of doing design work. I remember when I started digital experience design, we used to design in PowerPoint. And then from PowerPoint, we moved to Photoshop. And then Exor, and then OmniGraffle, and then there's Sketch. Then there is XD, then there's Figma, and there will be more. There will always be changes. But the fundamentals around how do you build, they don't change. What will quite likely change as we are moving forward is that the quantum of UI work that we need will reduce. A lot of the UI which is being served as part of customer experience will be replaced by some AI modality or some other technology. There's a lot of work that companies are doing in that area, so we probably will not require that. But we'll still need this. The images and content being generated by AI are, they need work, they need massaging. You have to put that expertise from a designer's point of view, that is this going to fit? Is it going to work? You have to bring it all together. What it potentially will replace is what I call low competency talent, which means very basic talent, which was maybe potentially writing blogs or just doing very simple social media content work. All of that may get replaced in near future. But high-end skills, high-end skills such as crafting strategy, crafting how you actually get people to perform behaviors, how do you design for those touch points, those thin interaction points. Those things will be very critical, and I've seen they have remained critical whether we have been building from PowerPoint to now Figma. And this little slide puts together fundamentally what that ability is. Can you understand behavior? Can you figure out a strategy to influence behavior? And then can you build the experience around the strategy such that that behavior is delivered? If designers can do this well, the changes in the tools that we see will not matter so much. Yeah. So these are some of the thoughts that I wanted to leave you guys with, that how things are changing. It's not just the fact that you have a whole lot more AI tools to use as part of that. The nature of work is changing. The nature of actually how customers are expecting to interact with your services, that is changing. So you have to be able to build for that differently. So that is some thoughts. So we can open the forum for some questions, Shubhangi.
Yes. First of all, I would like to congratulate you, Amber, on just like a wonderful, insightful session. We already have some questions that have come while you were speaking, so let me address those first. Meanwhile, other people can put in their questions. So this is a question by Ken. They're asking, recently Google launched their new AI called Nano Banana, and I found it's way better than heavy softwares like Photoshop. Okay, this is more of a comment, I guess. And I think this is something that you have touched on also, that software will sort of keep on evolving and we'll keep using newer tools, I guess.
They'll keep on evolving, and there's AI-aided design will be there, and you will get that. Nano Banana has a lot of shortcomings, but this is not the forum to discuss that.
Right.
Uh,
So Samir is asking, as a designer, should I be using AI tools like ChatGPT for creating designs? Are they not killing our creativity?
You should absolutely be using whatever tools that you want. But the choice of focusing on your creativity is your own. Right? So creativity is not just the visual output you're creating. The creativity is in your mind of how you are thinking of crafting your experience. Right? Unless until you are going to ChatGPT and saying, please tell me how to actually make my customer experience. If you do that, then obviously then you're going to get cookie cutter things, or probably you're going to get something which may not even work in your context. But what I've seen in all my experience in all the years is that when you're building for a particular business, the solution you have to build for them is very contextual. You cannot templatize it. And that's where your creativity comes. That is not something where ChatGPT and any of these things are going to help you. Even asking Lovable on one of these tools to generate UI for those are going to impact template businesses. Template businesses are the ones which have been running on building Shopify templates for companies for years. Those people. But if you are fundamentally a design strategist, but even from a brand point of view, if you are talking about creative from a aesthetic point of view, if you are a brand strategist, there's tremendous value still, and is still going to remain so for significant number of years, uh, till till one of these companies is able to actually crack what they call AGI. But I think they are very very far from that.
Right. Do we have any more questions? The floor is now open. Ranbir is saying, thank you so much for such a wonderful session. The question is, as a designer, should we adopt AI as help or not? Because employers, okay, because when they go for interviews, employers ask, do they use AI or not? Because they want faster results.
So the question makes me a little sad, and this is for my entire community, design community as such. What's happened is that there is a lot of confusion which has come into the market because of what OpenAI or Microsoft or Google have put out there, that such and such jobs are not required, or everything can be replaced, or things can become faster, which is not really the case. In fact, if you look at development context where people said that this is going to make wipe out development jobs and make things faster, etc. In fact, it has made mid to senior level developers 19-20% slower, and there are research reports out there, because the nature of generative AI is that it is very random, and every single time you produce the code, it is something different, and there's a lot of bugs in that. Who will sit and check all those bugs? The same thing happens with design output as well. When you create out those visuals, etc., and a lot of bugs. I was talking to one of my colleagues who was a founder for a marketing agency. She said she's tired of content, AI content, which is coming out in marketing, because it is so buggy. Then someone has to come and sit and correct all that. Who's going to do it? And if you don't get it right, the brand damage can be significant on that. That is the reality on the ground. So I wanted to share this with you guys. That's the reality on the ground of actually what is happening. And but the companies on the other side are on the high horse, that, oh, look what's happening, Google is saying this, why should I pay somebody money for this, or why should I not ask for faster work? It's all optics. Please go ahead and learn some AI tool so that it gives them peace of mind that you can do something fancy. But on the ground, when you actually get down to doing things, you will pretty much require the same amount of time to build things. Right now, we have not come to the point where this is giving real operational value as part of design work. I personally haven't seen. We have been trying this for almost a year now, but I'm not seeing a huge change. I see a lot of marketing and Instagram posts where people say that, oh, I made this overnight. Good job. Now get the revenues for the company. I want to see that.
Yeah. Do we have any more questions? Ranbir is saying thank you. Um, okay, Venkata is asking, how can we still increase our creativity and acquire more design skills, design thinking?
So I wrote a blog on developing thinking skills a few years back, and maybe I'll just put it in the chat if I can find it after this. So what's interesting in that, Venkat, is that there's a lot of focus on learning software. If you look at how much time designers spend on Figma or one of these tools, it's 80%, 90% time. The thinking time is actually not even 5 to 10%. The challenge is that the nature of work you're getting into, the thinking time is required a lot more, and there are multiple kind of thinking skills that have to be practiced. When I went to design school, long time back in 2000, one of the exercises was that you were given a specific problem statement and you were supposed to come up with 5 solutions for it. And then next day you come up with 10 more solutions, unique solutions, but 10 more solutions. Next day you do 20, next day you do 40, and then you keep doubling it that way till the point your mind is exhausted. Because the mind is like taffy, you have to stretch it. You have to stretch it to develop these abilities. And being able to deliver value to customers and clients is when you have developed these abilities in your mind, having done this exercise again and again and again and again. Which is why when you meet designers who've actually done this work for quite a few years, they've worked with so many clients, so many contexts, they understand what do you do and how do you build to deliver value in that context. You have to do that. So you have to dedicate time for that as well. Besides learning newer softwares, you have to dedicate time towards doing that. So go to the article. I talk about some exercises in that uh, are important to develop thinking skills which are relevant to design work.
Sure. Do we have any more questions? Venkata is also saying thank you. Uh, um, okay, I think we have another question. Okay. Um, this is an interesting conversation because most designers don't sort of think about that. As designers, are we responsible for the ROI on design? Does the designer need to learn how a business ROI work, and how much business education should a designer have?
That's a question which came up. A very good question. So can I see it? Where is it? So
It's in the Q&A box.
Q&A box. Okay. Designer responsible for ROI. Absolutely. So what you have to understand is design is a title. But what do you actually do when you're working on these websites and products that you're building? You're fundamentally delivering what is called business value. If you are in the profession of delivering business value through that, then are you not doing product work? Are you not thinking about how to influence customers to actually make them do something? So it is just very, dotted lines between these things. And sometimes I tell people, don't call yourself a designer. Call yourself a product strategist. Actually, it might give you more respect in the industry. Think about it. Because design as a world has become more about a software operator, which is about doing one of these visual softwares. But that's not what we do. This is not what this field is about. There's a lot more. There are fields of design which are purely on the aesthetic side or purely on the imagination side, and it's okay. But if you're into digital design, especially around delivering these production experiences, the nature of this work is very different. And you have to understand. So it's definitely ROI, very important, and it's a very difficult skill to learn how to deliver ROI through your design. It's not an easy skill. My teams, which I built across companies, people struggle. It takes a long time for them to understand that, okay, this is going to deliver ROI or not. Yeah? And how much business education should a designer have? You should have a very good amount of business education. You have to understand things like what is revenue. You have to understand the product funnel metrics. What is acquisition? What is retention, engagement? All of those things you should understand that, because see, this language you'll have to speak. And because you're building products, this is the language you need to have. You cannot just talk about your aesthetics and visuals that you're doing as part of that, because then you will be compared to a DTP operator who's coming from Arena Multimedia. There is no difference in that context. So you have to build that business acumen, the ROI ability as part of what you're building to really be class apart. And once you build that, then you class apart. You know what? To 5 years down the line, you may not be even called a designer, but because you develop that ability, you will be a business strategist or a business owner on that.
And I think as you grow in any organization, as you become a senior member of the organization, all roles sort of become geared towards sales or ROI or business. So eventually your role sort of becomes more and more and more just driven to this one point, which is getting business through your expertise, whatever that might be. Maybe it's marketing or operations or sales or design. But just like business becomes like the front and center of everything once you sort of climb the ladder.
See, I always tell people that who are designing digital experiences, you're not in the business of making things easy. You are in the business of making behaviors happen which create business outcomes. That is your job. Now you think about what skills you require for that.
Right. Ken has another question. Ken is asking, how can we cooperate with AI tools to ease our design?
I would say try it out here. I would say try it out, try different tools and see what value they can add. ChatGPT, I think, is great in uh, creating what I call low accountability content. Okay, if you know what that means.
Right.
You content creates where the accountability doesn't matter what it's creating. Then you can do that. If you use ChatGPT content for high accountability context, you'll be in trouble. Banking, healthcare, etc., you'll be in trouble. So you have to be very careful over there. Then try out tools like Lovable, etc. See, we find it a pain because the amount of prompts it requires to tell it that something needs to be here, etc. Then you're wasting brain power in terms of how to craft a prompt. Whereas using that brain power to coming up with your strategy for that thing. So try out the different tools and see what could be useful. That is my advice. I'm not going to recommend tools in this conversation.
Do you think sort of using AI tools in different parts of your design process would be a much better approach rather than just like using AI to create great UI for you, but like maybe utilizing one tool which might be great at research, something like that. Do you think that sort of works out?
That's what I was saying. Try it out. Try the different tools. That's the only thing. There are many tools for using at different points of time. Some things are useful. Some things are not that useful.
Right. Uh,
And
Somebody is asking, when it comes to learning human behavior and psychology, how should we go about it? Are there any books you recommend?
see, psychology is a massive area. If you get down to studying psychology, the challenge with that is that you can get lost very easily. When it says psychology, what type of psychology? Psychology has so many types. There is no end to that as well. So what you need is fundamentally applied psychology, which can make which can help you as part of your work. But before you look at the research papers or what they call psychology principles, now if you go to Google and you start typing, you anyway get hundreds of them, psychology principles over there. But mugging up those principles are of no use unless until you know what you're trying to do. In most cases, in the context of creating a behavior, you're doing only three things. The first thing is called a trigger. If you want a behavior to happen, you have to trigger the behavior somewhere. You have to get it started somewhere. So then you have to see for triggering what psychology tools can you use. If you want to catch somebody's attention, you have to trigger. How do you do that? There's a tools around there. Then the second part is build up, which means that you slowly increase motivation to get to a point for the person that they will actually perform certain behavior. That's how that works. If you're not cross the motivation threshold, you won't perform the behavior. What tools will you use in that? So then you can Google and say what tools I can use to increase motivation, a specific context of what you're building. And then the third one is you actually push people to perform the specific action, which means you put a lot of pressure that why do you do it right now? So, and I'm sure you've seen enough examples of products doing that. Why should we do it right now? And offline businesses or digital businesses both do that. They create scarcity. So those principles. But the construct tends to be in these three buckets. As you understand these three buckets, and that's what you're trying to do, automatically these principles start to make relevance, and then you're not lost into a field or trying to become a psychologist. And I used to work with a company which used to hire psychologists because they would have the bent of mind or they would have the knowledge in regards to this field. In a lot of ways, it did not help because the nature of digital experience was very, very different. That logic did not work. I know some of my colleagues in my previous companies who went for psychology courses as well. They actually did a master's in psychology, but then ended up changing their work because that's not what this work is about. So I hope that helps, that three buckets, and then look at what tools are there.
Right. Do we have any more questions? Okay, meanwhile, if we get any more questions, I would like to ask one, which is something that I really like asking all of our speakers. I sort of use it as a self-indulgence. Amber, if you were to redesign something as small as, say, a safety pin and as big as the Delhi Metro railway system, what would you redesign?
So I don't understand your question. Are you asking would I design a safety pin or the
No, no.
metro
Something
station?
maybe if you were to talk about scale, maybe if you were to design something as small as a safety pin or as big as the Delhi Metro railway system, if you were to pick something to redesign, the scale could be anything. What would you redesign?
Well, presently, I think it's the infrastructure for our cities.
Yes, yes, very much so.
Very infamous over the past 2 days.
Yeah.
That anywhere there's impact, that's the whole point of design is impact, whether it's commercial impact or non-commercial impact. The impact is relevance. Otherwise, it's art. Otherwise, you're just amusing yourself.
Perfect. I don't think we have any more questions, so I'm going to close this session. Thank you so much for sharing all your wealth and all your knowledge with us. Thank you for all our attendees who stuck around till the end of this session. We will see you in another masterclass. Till then, bye bye and good night.
Thanks, Shabangi.
Bye.
You
Thank
guys, take care. Bye bye.